GCPD is a corrupt and dangerous organization inside of Gotham City. A lot of them are on the payroll of Falcone or Maroni, and some aren't, and they're just really bad cops that enjoy excessive violence, but there are some genuinely good ones who want to make the city a better place. It is some of those rare few that I, the film watcher, will be casting today. Those are Harvey Bullock, Renee Montoya, Crispus Allen, Carlos Alvarez, and Clancy O'Hara. First up is Alvarez. He was in Gotham, played by J.W. Cortez, and he was fine, I guess. He didn't have much of a personality. I'd like you to give him a little bit bigger of a part. Alvarez is a good detective. He has extensive combat experience and has a little bit of a chip on his shoulder, or at least he should. There's not a ton about the character's personality that I'm familiar with. So I decided on Gabriel Luna, who was fantastic in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. as Ghost Rider. He had a lot of emotional range in that show. He's also in the latest Terminator film, which shows he can do action. I mean, he did action in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., but still, I think he'd be a great Alvarez. Next up is Crispus Allen, who is weirdly featured in about 10 episodes of Gotham, and for some reason, he was a main cast member. I don't get it, because he was only in like 10 episodes and completely disappeared after that. There. Allen is a great detective. He's ridiculously smart and pretty analytical. The character has to be able to do action as well. Despite his age, he's advanced very quickly in the police department. I think you should have this banter with Montoya. Anyway, with that said, I decided on Leslie Odom Jr. He actually had a guest spot in Gotham, but I'm more looking at Hamilton. He was incredible. He did plenty of dancing in that show, which translates well to action sequences. He had those solid principles that need to be reflected in Allen. He had a little bit of cynicism that would also work too. If they wanted Allen to be able to sing, he could do that. I mean, this would be a grounded show, so they probably wouldn't do a musical episode, even though that would be awesome, but it's there if they need it. He was actually recently nominated for an Oscar, which is pretty cool. I think he'd be a great Crispus Allen. Next up, we have Renee Montoya. Now, before I saw her in Gotham, in which she appeared in 11 episodes as opposed to Allen's 10. I mean, at least they did something with her, but still. And before Birds of Prey, in which she was fine, I read about her in the Injustice comics. She gained super strength and died from the drugs that gave her super strength. That's not really what I want to do here, but it's there. This is an interesting character, I suppose. She was kind of mentored by Gordon as just a regular cop and has grown into a phenomenal detective. I think that she'd be partnered with Allen and, yeah, have that little banter back and forth. I mean, they should annoy each other, but respect each other's talent. Montoya is ambitious to make changes in the GCPD, but she's not naive. She knows she can't do it herself, but she's also one of the few great cops in the city. Like Gordon, she puts in the work to make Gotham a better place. She's a very hard-working detective, but she's not the stereotypical by-the-book cop like Birds of Prey cracked numerous jokes about. She has to be able to handle herself in an action scene as well. If they wanted to have her work with the Sirens, they could do it. I also wanted to cast an actress of Hispanic descent, Montoya being Dominican. That said, I went with Melissa Fumero. She was fantastic in Brooklyn Nine-Nine. She had that kind of by-the-book energy, but she was always genuine in her efforts. I think she has that active role in the department, always trying to do the right thing. She's of Cuban descent, but the actress who played her in Birds of Prey wasn't Dominican, she was Puerto Rican, so, yeah. Fumero can do action, as demonstrated in Brooklyn Nine-Nine. She has the ambition and drive that would work perfectly for this character. Even though Brooklyn Nine-Nine is a sitcom, Fumero got to really act in a number of scenes, so we know she can be serious. Next up is Aunt Harriet, who should be played by Carol Burnett. Okay, I'm half kidding, but it would be hilarious if Dick Grayson was just scrolling through his phone and one of his contacts was Aunt Harriet and there was a picture of Carol Burnett. Aunt Harriet was in the 60s show and she was Dick Grayson's aunt, so it'd be a very clever reference, especially if they got Carol Burnett. Seriously now. Next up, we have another character from the 60s show, Chief O'Hara. He was played by Stafford Rep in Batman 66, who was just really funny. So I want to see this character featured in some capacity. He should be old friends with Gordon, have a comedic side to him. O'Hara should be a little past his prime, but having good memories of the old days. I decided to cast Faison Love, who played the Gimbals manager in Elf. He was awesome in that movie. I thought about Jon Favreau, but I kind of feel like that would just be a Jon Favreau cameo. Faison Love is 52, which works for how he should relate to Gordon. He can bring so much comedy to this role. He was hilarious in Elf. I mean, he is on the bigger side, which works well for O'Hara. Lastly, we have Harvey Bullock, my personal favorite character of these detectives. Robert Costanzo voiced the character in Batman the Animated Series. I have not seen that show yet, and I really want to, but that's like really good casting. Unfortunately, He's almost 80 years old, and I cannot buy an 80-year-old Bullock. I loved Donald Logue in Gotham. So Bullock is a slovenly, cynical, and heavy-set man who is often seen clutching a donut and wearing a trench coat and fedora. Despite his laziness, Bullock is a great detective who really cares about those around him and making Gotham a better place. The actor has to be older, around the age of Denzel Washington, who is 66, as Gordon and Bullock are supposed to be partners in their youth. As great as David Harbour would be, he's only 46, which just isn't old enough to portray the character. This is a tad trivial, but the actor should ideally be of Irish descent. So I went with Brendan Gleeson, an actual Irish actor. He's awesome. He played a bitter, hardened warrior in the Harry Potter films as Mad-Eye Moody. He did a little bit of comedy in Paddington 2, and though I don't like that movie very much, I thought he was very good and genuinely funny. He did the comedy and drama in Braveheart, in which he played Hamish, the oldest friend of William Wallace. Man, he was good in that movie. Anyway, he can do the cynical cop really well, and he can lean into that comedy that Bullock should have. He is Irish and has an Irish accent, but he could work on that. He'd still be fantastic in this role. And that's it. The next several videos will be filled with villains, maybe the best part of the Batman mythos. So thank you for watching, and as always, remember to keep calm and watch out.